Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm glad that you found us here on YouTube and have joined our tribe of survivors. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel as we're trying to build an even bigger tribe and get really the word out and all the knowledge out about narcissism. So today I want to talk about things that scare the narcissist and empower you at the same time. So the one thing that scares the narcissist the most is people figuring out who they truly are. And you can see them do this in their lives. When people start to kind of get on, are onto them, that's when they move, switch jobs, switch relationships, switch, they abandon everything and they start all over. And they do this with seemingly lots of ease because, especially as a narcissist ages, they get better at starting over. They're experts at starting over with careers, life, cities, relationships. It's in hindsight, when you watch them at work, it's interesting to watch, especially if you are listening to channels like this and are getting knowledgeable about how a narcissist works. So they are completely scared of being found out by you. But the one thing that I want everyone to remember is there are different types of victims that the narcissist will seek out for their main supply. And even after the relationship ends, it's important to do really proper, I would say, self-work in order to make sure that narcissist is so scared of you that they'll actually give you anything you want and actually bow to you or run scared. And some of the things that you can do is, if you're an empath, that means you were grade A supply to them, because empaths are just natural givers. Empaths are not happy unless they're making other people happy, because they can feel other people's emotions. And so if you make someone happy and you do nice things for people, you automatically get those feelings. So you do it, and so you have this grade A fuel supply that the narcissist will seek out. And that is always what the narcissist will look for, because the empath doesn't need everything back. They don't give so they can get. Empaths tend to just want to give, and for no reason, almost just because it makes everyone around them happy and they feel happy. Now, there also is the codependency. Now, those types of supply, those people tend to lack a little bit of something within themselves, usually in their childhood. They might have always been kind of maybe ignored a little bit by a parent, and they were always working to make their parents happy so they would get more attention because they felt ignored, and this is something hard to admit, that you were codependent, because, well, it's private and you don't really want people to know something's wrong with you, and no one likes doing that. And the narcissist will seek out those of you that are codependent, because they can get fuel out of you, because you are conditioned to overly give just to get back a little. Those are, when you're codependent, that's what's happening there. And of course, so the narcissist will seek you out. Now, I would say, empath is a codependent is a B supply, and then there's a C supply. So we're going to put 3 grades of supply in here. Now, the C supply, I would say, is someone who is very, very, I would say, someone who came out of a very bad situation, maybe already a bad marriage, already a bad family life, just really was not, set up in a great home when they're growing up. So when they find someone like a narcissist, they're so grateful to finally find someone that could just love them. They just hand themselves right over because they think that they found the one. Now, the narcissist will evaluate these types of supply, and you'll be the main supply, all the codependent, the empath, and a lost soul. So we have A, B, and C. A, the empath; B, the codependent, and then we have C, who is the broken one, the one that really got kind of damaged in their youth. But these A, B, and C are all main supply sources for the narcissist. And you can be years in a relationship being any one of these. The significance of all three of them is usually what happens after the relationship had ended. And this is the part that's going to scare the narcissist and empower you at the same time. No matter what category you're falling into out of these, if you really want to scare the narcissist and get them running scared from you, or even get them to give you whatever you want, say if you have children with a narcissist or trying to go through a divorce, the way you can empower yourself in all of these situations, if you're an empath, those of you that are empaths might have, I would say, a little bit of an easier time because of the energies and the emotions that we would feel towards the narcissist. We can tell when, now that it's happened once, we can tell when they're just there to drain us, and we can tend to do a lot of. There's not as much shadow work that needs to be done for empaths, because empaths are not. They're just not codependent. They don't have all this horrible stuff prior, usually before meeting the narcissist. So you tend to get through things a lot better. So, and if you're a codependent, if you really address your life and the things that happened to you before you met the narcissist and resolve those issues, that empowers you and it disarms that narcissist, because he was using your tendencies in the way you function in a relationship against you on purpose as a predator. And especially if those of you that felt lost, that had really harsh relationships before then, under category C, are the ones that will get hoovered the most, because you just have, I think, more work to do within yourself. But if you empower yourself by getting knowledgeable about what a narcissist really is, and if they find out that you have been doing self-work and actually finding out about them, how they function, their secrets, the way they are predators looking after victims or looking for victims for them as fuel, and knowing that they don't have any empathy and they don't have remorse and feelings and are only self-righteous, if they find out that you have figured them out, they're going to be scared. They're not going to come near you. They're not going to try and hoover someone who knows what they are. But you have to be able to get this information across to them without beckoning them towards you. And I'm very careful about this myself, and I did learn this lesson, is to not put things like on social media of like me dating other men and trying to prove to everybody that I'm fine, I don't need them, I'm great. Or trying to make the narcissist jealous by him seeing that I'm so great and I've got a new relationship. For a second or two, it felt like that was the right thing to do, but it actually isn't. And let me kind of explain a little bit why. Because the narcissist is actually quite scared of strong people, okay? So if you are a codependent, and if the narcissist sees you posting things on social media with someone else, that would mean that you're just being a codependent with someone else. Or that's how they're going to see it. And they're going to still keep you on the back burner to swoop in for hoovering whenever you want. But if you put pictures on social media, or if you really go and own yourself as being independent by yourself, as not needing someone else to be happy, and if you're strong without them and you know who this narcissist is, well, that will stop, the narc from coming back. If they see you strong by yourself, that's more powerful if they knew you as a codependent than just see you with pictures with someone else, right? So really do that. And if you felt lost and had a lot of issues prior to the narcissist, if they see you as not working on what happened with you and your relationship with the narcissist, but if you worked on what happened prior to that relationship that caused you to fall victim to the narcissist, if they find out that you've done that work, that makes them scared, because you have disarmed them with the armory that made them be able to capture you for supply in the first place. So that disarms a narcissist. It makes them scared of you, and they're not going to go back to you, and they're just going to run scared and just give you what you want because they don't want to go down that road with you when you know who they are. You know, and empaths are, once you feel the energy of a narcissist and are able to, because you're not in like that bliss stage anymore, and once you really see the horror behind that mask, remember, we can feel the emotions from them, their true self, and that dread of this evil soul. Once we feel and see that, we're never going to go back to that. We don't want to go back to that once we recover. And once the narcissist knows that we know who they truly are and know how their naked self, that scares them. They're naked and everyone can see them. And so they're going to run and hide. And the more they would go near you is the more that they would be exposed. So they're not going to go near you. Okay. So these are things that are very, very, very empowering to all of you out there after the narcissist relationship. So let me just reiterate it just one more time about what scares them and gets them running from you and empowers you at the same time is to do your self-work with whatever caused you to fall prey and a victim to a narcissist in the first place. And some of these things I know are hard to admit. No one wants to admit that they're codependent. No one wants to admit that, yeah, I had a rough childhood and, daddy didn't love me and I finally found someone that did. And of course I fell victim. No one likes to admit these things. And you don't have to tell the world that you've worked on this, but if the world sees you as an independent person that's strong without anybody else, it's way better than putting yourself out there that is just with a new mate or a new husband or wife or having so much fun. You want to put pictures out there or the energy out there that you're strong on your own, because that's empowerment, right? And even though we all kind of like the feeling of making someone jealous for some reason, and we all have to admit that. But that's not what we want to do in this case. We want to be empowered and strong. So whatever you figure out by listening to talks like this, when you figure out what caused you to fall victim to a narcissist, it's called shadow work. You want to do that type of shadow work on yourself. Even if that means that you're better on your own and strong on your own and happy on your own and not needing anybody else to be happy because you've done all your self-work. So the narcissist isn't going to go to you because you don't need them. You don't need them to be happy. You don't need them to give you love because you love yourself, which sounds really corny. But the thing is, this is what scares the narcissist. If they see you love yourself and don't need their love, they're completely disarmed. They're powerless. What else are they going to do? To rope you in, to hoover you, to come back, to have you give them what they want when you don't need their love because you love yourself. So those are just 3 things that I wanted to go over that I know a lot of you out there fall into one of those categories, or maybe all 3 a little bit, right? So yeah, resist that hoover and you scare that narcissist. You have them running scared away from you because there's no winning with a narcissist. They're evil predators. They'll try to kill you slowly. So you need to get away from them. You need to get them running away from you and empower yourself. So thank you so much, guys, for listening. I hope this talk helped some of you, and I'm glad that you found us here on YouTube and have joined our tribe of survivors post-narcissist.